Radio.
This is an EWTN News Link. I'm Anna Mitchell from the Sunrise Morning Show. The College of Cardinals continues with the business of the church as more cardinals arrive in Rome for the funeral and subsequent conclave. Yesterday, they chose the now retired, longtime preacher of the papal household, Cardinal Raniero Cantalamessa, to preach the meditation just ahead of when the cardinals go into the conclave, the date of which has not yet been set. Today, they heard from the master of papal liturgical celebrations, who told them that tomorrow's funeral will be that of a shepherd, not of a sovereign. And the Trump administration is being blocked from withholding federal funds from schools with DEI programs. 3 federal judges issued separate rulings yesterday after teachers' unions, the NAACP, and others brought cases against the administration. For more news with a Catholic perspective, visit EWTNnews.com. Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie starts now.
Well, hello there and welcome. This is your show, Take 2, with Jerry and Debbie and you on EWTN Radio, still in this gorgeous, glorious octave of Easter. He is risen. Alleluia. I am Jerry Escher along with Debbie Georgiani, and hopefully you. We're looking forward to your participation in today's program. It is something we do each year on this date because it is a very significant date. And Debbie, why don't you let people know why it is so?
Yes, today, April 25th is the National Parental Alienation Awareness Day. And what does that mean, parental alienation? Well, it's when one parent chooses to target the other parent and really dismantle the family and cause the children to choose sides and to move away from the other parent and really just tear the family structure apart. And that usually, not always, it usually happens after divorce. So we're talking today about when families are torn apart by divorce and what happens and the casualties of that and what the ripple effect, and it's really brutal, absolutely brutal, and tens of millions of families are dealing with it. Parents, alienated parents are dealing with it. There's support groups all over the place. There's counseling efforts to help these parents because it's devastating when their children that they used to be close to all of a sudden now are closer to the other parent and now don't want to be with the loving parent that is there for them, and it always has been. And it's it's a complex situation. It's very difficult to understand from the outside. In fact, a lot of people make assessments on it. But I will tell you, Jerry, we were dedicated for many years on Take 2 to every time we had a weekday that fell on April 25th, we chose to dedicate a whole episode to this because too many families are being torn apart.
That's right. So if this describes you, if you find yourself in these circumstances, maybe you didn't even realize quite what was going on. Maybe you found yourself with certain things going on in your life that now you understand at least a little bit after what Debbie just explained there. Feel free to give us a call. Maybe you've understood this, at least to a certain degree, for a long time. Maybe you've been very frustrated. Maybe it's been very, very painful. Maybe your heart has grieved. Maybe you've been filled with sorrow over the lack of relationship that you have had with some of your children because of possible parental alienation. This is your show. Weigh in on this because there are people, we always say every day, what you share on this show is going to impact a lot of other people. And in fact, there are those listening right now who may be hearing this phrase parental alienation for the first time, or maybe giving any serious consideration to these circumstances for the first time. So let's have an open, frank conversation about this. You can just share whatever details you want. You don't have to go into a lot of details, share names, things like that, but it is going to be, I believe, an impactful and, as always, helpful conversation with the participation of you, the Take 2 family, at 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3288. 888-3986.
That is the number to call. We'd like to hear how your family is doing. You know, maybe you went into a divorce and you thought, okay, this is going to be a friendly divorce. And then all of a sudden, a year or two later, you realize, you know, one or all of your children decide they don't want to be with you anymore. They don't want to visit you. They don't want to talk to you. They start calling you by your first name. They start disrespecting you, ignoring you. And you're like, what is going on? So you go to the other parent and say, what's happening to our kids? And the other parent goes, I have no idea what's happening. That's too bad that you don't have a relationship with your kids. And it's really quite devastating, something to that effect, that's how it transpires. That's how it unfolds. It's very painful. It's just the worst thing you could ever imagine as a parent. If you're the targeted parent, it's just really difficult. Now, typically they've done studies recently and they're saying that there is a real clear indication that the parent that is targeted, Jerry, they tend to be the more spiritual and the better parent, actually. So there's something to be said for that in the sense that the one that's the alienator is really trying to use the kids, I believe, as a weapon. And that's not good. That's really bad. And that's very sinful. And so there's a lot of dynamics that happen. Some counselors don't even believe in this concept or theory, but I can tell you I lived through it, and it's for real. And that's why there's no way I would let this day pass without trying to raise awareness that this is indeed what happens when families are torn apart, especially by divorce. But it doesn't always happen. It can happen in intact families as well. But it's mainly when the families are torn apart, and this is one of the effects of divorce that is so tragic, because it forever changes the children. If you experience this, you understand it on some level. If maybe you got through it and you were united with your kids again down the road, could you share with us the details of things so we can learn and grow together? The number to dial is 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986.
I've shared this on the show before when we've done this topic, and that is, I didn't ever really know my dad. I've shared he was not a man of real particularly strong character, but I think that my mother, and I don't know this for sure, but I just, in kind of hindsight, Debbie, as we've done these shows, I've kind of looked back. Our mother, when my parents divorced, she moved with us 5 kids, just a couple hours away, but never really made an effort to a great degree of wanting to encourage us to see him or spend time with him or to facilitate that.
That's a form of parental alienation.
I've wondered about that a little bit. I've always sort of mourned and grieved my non-relationship with my father. And so I never saw my mother, heard her say things, saw her do things, but, I just always wondered if that was a little bit present in my family. So you experienced it obviously as a parent and myself as a child, I think to at least a small degree. So it is very real, folks, and it does happen. Maybe it has impacted you in your life. Please feel free to call. And it could take courage to make this call today. But again, as we always say, we are a family, the Take Two family, and families stick together. Families help one another, especially in very difficult and sometimes tragic circumstances such as parental alienation. Often, as Debbie said, in most cases, the result of divorce. Not always that's the case. But if you would like to join the conversation and help people out today, it's 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. We look forward to you joining us here on today's broadcast, and we always thank our show team. Matt and Michael and Rich are helping us out today, and you are the ones who make the show what it is, the Take Two family, at 833-288-3986.
At the Masterpiece Donut Shop, Rob Evans and Duncan the Donut help children explore the Mass step by step with fun songs and meaningful lessons. Visit EWTN.com/kids for more.
EWTN Radio Essentials is now EWTN Radio Extra. It's the past, present, and future of Catholic radio. You'll hear classic programs from Mother Angelica and Dr. Scott Hahn, plus timeless devotionals and award-winning podcasts from our partners on EWTN's Podcast Central. Listen now to EWTN Radio Extra on the EWTN app and on EWTN.com.
This is Jerry Usher. If you missed part of today's show, catch the encore tonight at midnight Eastern or anytime at EWTN Podcast Central. Visit us at EWTN.com/radio/podcasts.
EWTN CEO Michael Warsaw.
Hello, family. The death of Pope Francis is a moment of personal grief for Catholics around the world, and I mourn his passing alongside our global EWTN family. We also join the Church in prayers for the repose of his soul, and we thank God for the Holy Father's tireless advocacy for those in the peripheries throughout his pontificate. May God have mercy on his servant and grant him eternal rest. May God bless the Church.
We're talking about when families are torn apart by divorce and what happens to the children. Are they being used by one parent against the other parent? Can you get reunited with your kids down the road? I've seen beautiful stories of parents coming back to the targeted parent and, you know, really trying to heal the relationship years later. Others are still in counseling. Others are avoiding it. I mean, there's a lot happening in these groups, these chat groups that I've been involved in. There's a lot of pain, a lot of emotional pain and suffering. It's really a difficult situation. But we wanted to talk about it the Take Two way because we wanted to learn and grow together and hopefully maybe give some good words of wisdom to those that are going through it, or we can help others so that if they're just experiencing it, they can kind of have their eyes wide open on what's happening, because it is a National Parental Alienation Awareness Day, and it's April 25th every year, and so that we're doing our part to create that awareness so that families can get healed and be whole. And even if you go through a divorce, you can still keep that family together with a loving mother and a loving father. I just wanted to share, Jerry, before we get to the phones, Pope Francis's funeral is tomorrow. So the solemn funeral mass for His Holiness Pope Francis is Saturday, 3 a.m., with encores at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern on EWTN television and radio. Yes, you heard me correct, because that's, remember, the funeral is Italy time, so we have to account for the difference. So that would be 3 a.m. Eastern. That's when it starts, and it encores at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Eastern. So everybody's going to be tuning in. A lot of people are going to be watching this funeral.
Yeah. Well, as always, the world is talking about the Catholic Church right now and the papacy, and many people paying their respects to Pope Francis. So we're glad that EWTN is able to bring us, not surprisingly, as always, the funeral of Pope St. Francis. Pope St. Francis, I've just canonized him already. Okay, we're going to go to your phone calls right now. One line open, 833-288-3986. It is Parental Alienation Day. Talking about that as that happened in your family. We're talking about when families are torn apart by divorce, which often leads to parental alienation. So let's go to Angel in Perrysburg, Ohio, listening today on Annunciation Radio. Hi, Angel. You're up first today. Welcome.
Hi, guys. I love you guys so much. How's my darlings?
Oh, doing well.
Great,
How are
Angel.
you, Angel? You're our angel.
Yes.
Oh, I love you. Debbie, how's your eye?
I'm hanging in there, Angel. Today I don't feel that I'm a little bit under the weather, but I'm hanging in there. I'm trying to stay
Me
strong.
too.
So yeah.
I think there was a pirate in both of our family tree. We're one-eyed now. You know, it's we're going to deal with it. We're tough.
That's right. That's right.
They don't call us warrior women for nothing.
There you go. There you go. So what do you think about this topic? It's a heavy topic, but it's a necessary one to discuss.
Topic. But I think I had some eye-opening experiences. I married at 16. I was in college. I had 4 kids in 5 years. We were in the military, and I knew my husband was cheating probably from maybe 3 months into the marriage, and it really did hurt. And it was, you know, a lot of things were exposed to me, but I kept kind of quiet about it to the kids because I had a friend talk to me when I was on the 4th baby. I said, I can't split these kids up. I don't want to end up in some dump hole apartment when I've got a beautiful home. And so he said, don't let the kids see your resentment. And I worked on that. I worked on enjoying the kids and not letting them see how miserable I really was with him. It did come to a head at one point. We did divorce after 30 years. And he did alienate the kids against me and told them it was all my fault. And so I sort of lost the kids for a while, I guess you could say, but I was engaged to a French man, and I was in and out of Europe probably 100 times, and I was really, really busy with my work. So that helped massage the feelings of loss, you know. And then one day my kids came up to me and said, we're in shock. We just went to dinner with Dad, and he just told us that the whole time in the marriage he was cheating on you, and he named everybody to us. We're absolutely distraught, and just they fell apart. I just listened to what they had to say, and I didn't say anything, and I didn't want to throw anything back up into their faces about what he had done, because they were already suffering. And now we're all great. I mean, many times we've been next door neighbors. We always respect each other's space, though. But you can't let your kids be pawns, no matter how sad you are with your spouse.
Right. Well, and you know, Angel, I wanted you to share the story and then what the outcome was at the end, and you know, and so you were able to stay close to the kids. But I will tell you, there are millions right now, parents, that they're trying to call their kids have blocked their numbers. They're trying to reach out to their kids. They show up at the kid's house and try to just see their children. They show up at school plays and their kids ignore them. They show up at graduations and there's no seat for that parent. What do you say to all these parents that are really hurting today? And let me tell you, we're getting a lot of messages coming in, and they're listening right now.
Okay, I did go through a lot of that. My daughter moved to California and didn't talk to me for 10 years. I left her a message every couple days, and then finally one day when she found out that it was her father that broke up the relationship, she was very apologetic. We ended up taking a trip to Italy, and now we're extremely close, and she has a really bigger understanding of what happened. And then with the other kids, I mean, he always brought his girlfriend with him because it was my daughter's mother-in-law, which if we had to show up for family gatherings, Christmas or whatever, and sometimes I had to sit right next to them and just act like nothing was wrong because I did it for the kids. And then when I had my own boyfriend, finally we had to get together at weddings and things, and I just decided, let's just be civil. We're all adults. I mean, why use the kids for this? Why make them? They're already suffering. They're already sad. They're already depressed. When we lost our house, I mean, he lost it on purpose so that he could keep his girlfriend. I pulled up one day, and the house was empty, and I heard a violin playing in the attic, and I thought, what is going on? And I traipsed up the third floor, and I heard my daughter up in the attic, a completely bare house, playing her violin in the attic, and it almost broke my heart. I realized you can't think about just yourself. No matter how much they hurt you, you have to show love and respect to that other person. Even if they've made millions of mistakes, as long as you're both alive, you have to be adult about it. And I know it hurts, but let's get real and let's be adult. It hurts.
Well,
Go
Angel,
on with your life.
Yeah, and you obviously, you showed inner strength, an incredible amount of inner strength in this situation, like you said, never really wanting to expose your kids to what was going on. But also, the grace of God had to be active very, very powerfully and mightily in your life because, like you said, and as we know, a lot of parents, would go maybe take a very different road and just start to, attack back, so to speak, and just try to get their shots in. But I think that, once your husband, and it was amazing that he, came clean with all of the kids the way that he did, and then the fact that they realized, that you were the victim in this, I'm sure that they, as you described, they came back to you and with great love, and you had that trip with your daughter to Italy and so forth, and so just the way that you handled it with tremendous dignity and with great suffering. There had to be an incredible amount of intense interior suffering on your part, but that God's grace was at work in that whole situation, largely because of the position that you took on all of this, Angel. So you are to be definitely commended for that.
Thank you. Family is important, and when you're half Italian or you're full Italian, you really realize you don't want to shake the tree for the sake of the kids, because 200 years from now, will it really matter what they did or didn't do? It only matters that we had a family and they're still alive. And I did lose one son to cancer, but we have to be adults about this. This isn't just about who hurts who. It's about raising kids and making sure they're stable and have some happy memories.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Angel. God bless you, and have a beautiful Divine Mercy Sunday weekend. It's just a beautiful, beautiful weekend that we get to look forward to with God's abundant grace and mercy. Thanks, Angel. Okay, we're going to go to Teresa. Teresa's waiting so patiently in Rochester, New York, Jerry, on the Station of the Cross. Teresa, welcome to Take Two.
Well, good afternoon, both of you. Nice
Thank
to talk
you.
to you.
Likewise.
Well, it was not my experience, but my middle brother has been alienated by my niece's choice for about 20 years. And it's just heartbreaking because she has chosen to be alienated from my other brother, my parents who are now gone, myself and my children, my nieces. And it's just, we were a part of her life for 18 years. And then she wants nothing to do with any of us. And it's just heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Teresa, I want to let you know, your family, you're not alone. That's the other part of this alienation problem, this horrible epidemic, this terrible, just diabolical thing that is going around the world. It has a ripple effect. It has an effect that extends out to extended family members. So and that's the horrible thing of it. That's how you know, in my opinion, that's the clear indication that it's not of God at all. Because because all these people like grandparents and aunts and uncles and wonderful loving people that have always stood on the sidelines and just helped and watched the family, they're affected as well. So you just know that the demons are wreaking havoc and ruining, because what did the evil ones say they were going to do? They were going to destroy the family. So when you destroy the family, when you break up the family, you're going to break up the bigger family, the extended family, the community. Sometimes it happens even where these children don't want to visit their neighbors, and they don't want to go back to church, and they don't want to do anything that they knew before. So Teresa, my heart breaks for your family and your brother. How is he doing?
He's kind of hard to read. Sometimes I think, okay, but I know that he's, not a great communicator at times, and I know that it's painful. He loved her dearly. He did all he could for her. Mm-hmm. And it's just, and my parents loved her dearly. And, they died with a little bit of their heart broken, both of them.
Yeah. Same with my parents. My parents died heartbroken over it. And my parents were the only ones that took care of my kids. They were the only ones. My kids never saw the inside of a daycare or anything. My parents took care of my kids when I had to go to work or when I did ministry work. And my parents died with losing a real beautiful relationship with my kids. It was terrible. It's tragic. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Jerry, this is why we have to do shows like this to raise awareness before things like this happen, because there's ways to prevent it before it happens. But see, people they're not aware what's happening, because it's like a slow drip. It happens slowly, and then before you know it, it's like a huge crack in the foundation, and it's so hard to fix it.
Mm-hmm. I actually believe that my former sister-in-law set out to do this from the minute that child was born. Truly.
Well, it's
very sad. But thank you for your time, and God bless you for your wonderful ministry. I consider you friends.
Oh, thank you, Teresa. You're a friend and a member of the Take Two family as well. God bless you. We can hear the sorrow in your heart. So thank you for taking the time to call in and share this experience with us here on the program. We just sometimes think, Debbie, there was that famous saying that we say, I'm not hurting anybody. My decisions, I'm not hurting anybody else. This is just proof that, like you said, you use the word ripple effect, I think. It just it can go far and wide, and we just don't really know where the effects of that are going to end at some point, if they ever end at all. So
That's very true. We do have some open phone lines. This is National Parental Alienation Awareness Day, and Jerry and I have been doing this for many years on Take Two. If it falls on a weekday, April 25th, we decided to dedicate a whole episode to this to help other families. So maybe heal other families, bring families together, warn families that this is going on. A lot of counselors don't even buy it. They don't believe it because they don't truly, I have to be honest with you, they don't understand it because they didn't live it. If you live it, you understand it. You know exactly what's happening. So, and there's no way anybody's going to convince me it didn't happen. It was so diabolical. It was a form of brainwashing. I've never seen anything like it. And it was horrible to live through. Now, things have gotten better, but that was many years later it took, and a lot of pain and suffering. And I think a lot of my illness came from the stress and the worry that I went through. It was horrible. So I just want to dedicate this episode to all the beautiful, wonderful, loving parents that are hanging on. Their hearts are hurting. You're basically grieving a child that is still alive. And that's what it is. That's why I call it perpetual grieving. It's very, very painful. And I just want to dedicate this episode as a way to show that we care. We care, Jerry, that these families are going through this. And a lot of them are Catholic. And so there are Catholic brothers and sisters. So if you have something to say about this, your family was torn apart by divorce, and then what happened afterwards, post-divorce? Did it break up your relationship with your children? Please call in 833-288 EWTN 833-288-3986.
And if you are on the line, hang on. We are going to get to you. Gideon, you will be next. We've got a first-time listener, Gideon, in New England. So, Gideon, hold on. Kevin will be right after that. And Matt is busy screening other calls as well. But there are a couple of open phone lines here. And, again, we just invite you to impact souls worldwide. This is a global broadcast syndicated by EWTN. And, of course, we are streaming the video on Facebook and YouTube. And so we invite you to leave your chats there if you would wish to do that. You can also text into the program as well. Text the letters EWTN to the number 58177. Wait for our response. Then text us your first name and your question or your comment. Message and data rates may apply on that. So we're going to get back to more of your calls as promised here in just a moment. Here's the number for that open phone line there. Parental Alienation Day, when families are torn apart by divorce. Has that been your experience? 833-288-3986.
This is Life Issues with Brad Mattis, president of Life Issues Institute.
Kansas has a radical pro-abortion governor, but the state legislature put her in her place. They overrode 3 pro-life bills the governor vetoed. 1, Kansas now considers child support from the moment of conception and extends tax exemptions to babies in the womb. 2, courts are now required to provide scientifically accurate video footage of preborn babies. 3, the government can no longer veto prospective adoptive and foster parents because they disagree on marriage and transitioning children. And the legislature overrode all of the governor's 38 line-item vetoes in the state budget. This includes $3 million for pro-life pregnancy centers and maternity homes.
For more information, visit our website at lifeissues.org and stay informed, more informed than you've ever been.
This is Father Spitzer, host of Father Spitzer's Universe. Have a blessed Easter from all of us at EWTN Radio.
Carry the faith wherever you go. Catch up with the latest news from Washington, D.C., the Vatican, and the world on all of our EWTN news platforms, such as the National Catholic Register, Catholic News Agency, EWTN News Nightly, EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, and EWTN News In Depth. Download the EWTN app at EWTNapps.com today.
Spreading the good news of salvation.
This is EWTN Radio.
Hi, this is Cy Kellett. Join us later today on Catholic Answers Live as we do our best to explain and defend the Catholic faith. Catholic Answers Live, 6 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio. Now back to Take Two, Jerry and Debbie.
So good to have you with us as we end this Easter week. We have the whole octave, of course, until Sunday, Divine Mercy Sunday. But this is a Friday broadcast. We are live during the Easter season here on EWTN Radio. Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and you are making it another impactful broadcast, talking about the impact, the effects of divorce when families are torn apart by divorce, and parental alienation often is the result of that. If you have had an experience of this, or maybe you just want to know a little bit more about what this is all about, because maybe you're sensing something like this is happening, but you can't put a name to it, or maybe you just haven't been able to realize what was going on, we can certainly discuss that as well at 833-288 EWTN, 833-288-3986. And as promised, we have a first-time listener, Gideon, listening in New England today on Hope FM. Hello, Gideon. Welcome.
Hi.
Hey, good to have you with us. Yeah.
I thought your story really was touching, or the stories of others, and I really do pray for everyone who is hurting, because I've had to make a really important life decision at this point, because I am not going to let any evil tear a wedge between me and my babies, my twins, and if it means I have to relocate my whole life and my partner's life, we are willing to do that, and even, like, you know, renounce careers, good money, American salaries, just so that I can, because I don't want to look back and think and say, I should have been there, I could have been there, and I could have done more. And that's something, like, it hasn't left my side. But my stories, you know, my kids are 10, and they've been gone. I've always been with them, but now since their first grade, you know, the last 4 years, I've been gone. You know, like, that's how they see it, because that's how their mother framed it, and that's the alienation part. And even the word alienator, it's incredible to me, because when I look at both sides, you know, like the grandmothers are wonderful, like there are many well-intentioned people, and still we're in this horrible crossroads where I know that this is not God's intention or God's plan for us.
Right. Well, Gideon, I'm sorry you're going through this, and yeah, and my heart breaks, because, you know, you can hear in your voice and in your heart how much you love your children. And the one, you know, people ask me a lot, because I've been a part of a lot of groups, and I've spoken at different conferences on this topic, and they've asked me to look back and say what could have been done differently. Here's what could have been done before it gets to the point where there's such a wedge in the relationship. Counseling went to try and keep the communication up with all parties, you know, both parents and the kids. That's very important to do. It's important to really be open and honest with each other as the parents, and try to work together as parents as best we possibly can. That's important to do. But, you know, sometimes you will have one parent that just says, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to work with this other parent. I'm not going to do it. And that it's very difficult. But the other one has to stay consistent and try their hardest and stay strong and stay spiritually strong. Stay very close to God. Stay spiritually strong. And really be consistent in walking the walk, talking the talk, and just really trying to hang on to that and carry that cross and get through it, because it's a tough day-to-day thing to deal with, especially around holidays. I will tell you, holidays are the hardest for the alienated parent. It is horrible what I've seen parents have to go through at Christmas time and at Easter. I cry just thinking about it, because they're loving, nurturing, caring parents, and they want to be with their children. They want to at least call their children, and they don't feel like they can even do that. So the thing I would say is try hard now before any type of relationship starts to break or be severed completely. I don't know if that helps, Gideon, but I know we have thousands and thousands of listeners right now, so I want to make sure I put that out there. But I will tell you, there's some promising research coming out from really trained therapists and counselors that they're looking into seeing the type of personalities of parents, those that are the alienated, the targeted parent, and those that are the alienators that are doing the damage. They're looking at their personalities, and it's very interesting. The initial results are coming out that the parent that's being targeted is typically the more spiritual, the more nurturing, the more consistent, the more loving parent. So that would be beneficial to all of us who have gone through it, because I will tell you that when relatives and neighbors and parishioners and even clergy find out that your kids don't want to talk to you, somehow automatically you get the label of abuser put on to your over your head, because that's what happens, is because that's what people think. They don't understand it, and that's the reason why I decided to spend the rest of my life going out there and helping parents cope with this and raise awareness. Any comments, Gideon?
Yeah, thank you. No, everything you say does resonate with me. Thank you. I am fortunate because my kids, we are close, and our relationship is by no means severed. Mm-hmm. And I am at that juncture. I never had a name for it, parental alienation, and it was such a great coincidence. And I think the work of the Holy Spirit that I heard, that I tuned in because I happened to be on my lunch break, and like, it's like I said, just uprooting your whole life and career to make a move. I will do what it takes to be with them, precisely because I don't want to get to that point where now it's been years and all of a sudden, the kids don't remember, like, the first 6 years or 7, things, the human brain changes, right? Like, as we grow, and these years are pivotal. And I was just with them for Easter in Spain, and let me tell you, I could tell, certain things that they were saying and repeating, like, oh, something, and my son says, but that's your fault. And my daughter was like, oh yeah, I wish you could be here. And I in my mind, everything I've done for them since they were born, and including like my working abroad, and I worked overseas for a long time in the Middle East, and the house that they live in now, I was able to purchase for them, and then that became a whole legal route. And I'm like, no, please take it. All I want is equal access to the kids. And now, because it's gotten to the point where it got messy and awful, and there were like lies being told, even presented to the courts to that level, I had to then make this decision to, hey, I am going to give up, the second house that I was blessed to be able to purchase here, and give that up and renounce like my job and everything. But what I will not do is allow a wedge to be driven between me and my kids, and that's why I think your counsel is wonderful. And to see it's not refreshing, but it gives me a tad bit of hope. Like I said, I think it was the work of Jesus that I tuned in.
Oh yeah,
because it is.
Yeah, definitely. Gideon, before you go, because we have other calls, I just wanted to share this. There's several websites for parental alienation, and I would encourage our listeners to look at the resources, look at the little tips and the clues, if you will, of what could happen down the road. And one of them is PAawareness.com. It's parentalalienation.awareness.com. It has the resources there. It has the definitions, what to look for, what to do, counseling, things like that. And I hope that helps with everybody that's listening, just to become well, to understand it, do your own research and see if it's something that's going on in your family, or just to be, aware of if you choose to get, if somebody chooses to get a divorce. It says in the Bible, Jerry, God hates divorce. I believe this is my personal opinion. I believe God hates divorce because of exactly situations like this, what happens to the family afterwards, because it's absolutely torn apart. Gideon, thank you for being a first-time listener. We do believe it was the Holy Spirit. Please listen to us again and call in and check in with us. God bless you.
Yeah, and you'll be in our prayers, you and your whole family, along with everybody else who's listening, who's going through anything similar to this that we're talking about here today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. All right, Kevin has been holding patiently. He is in Wilmington, Delaware, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Kevin. Thanks for calling.
Hi, how are you today? Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Go right ahead.
I just Gideon's story touched me very deeply. I'll keep him in my prayers too.
Thank you.
I hope it turns out very well for him. My problem is a little bit the reverse. Never met my real dad. My mom kept that information from me. The man that was my stepfather was held out as my real father for a long time. They eventually got divorced. I've always believed that my mother holds me partly responsible for that because he and I did not get on. And we have a very difficult relationship now. And I don't, like Mike Rutherford said, it's too late when they're gone. So I need to find a way to bridge that. And I was hoping you would have some advice.
Well, Kevin, thanks for calling. We're sorry that this situation has occurred. I can maybe somewhat relate to the best of my ability to understand your situation, and that is with, I shared at the start of this show, and I've shared before on this program, my parents divorced when I was 7. I never had much of a relationship with my dad after that, and I think part of that, one of the reasons for that was our mother never really went out of her way to facilitate that. And maybe, possibly, I can't say this for sure, but maybe she actually, made attempts to just prevent that from happening. But I share all of this because, I just remember when my father passed away, it was interesting. God had all of us, our mother and all 5 of us kids around his bedside, even though we hadn't, really had a relationship with him for a long time. But I just remember the only emotion that I had was that, I cried for maybe 30 seconds, but the feeling that I had was, some man just died, I didn't have that heart, that emotional connection to him, and so I know that was part of the reason for that was because, I just never really had a relationship with him encouraged and facilitated, if I can put it that way. So I'm going to definitely, we will all keep you in our prayers, Kevin. And Debbie, I don't know if you've got any
I do.
thoughts. Yeah,
I do. So your dad has passed, but your mom is still with us, Kevin?
Yeah, my real father passed. What I really am hoping is to deal with it feels like my mother's alienated from me. It's almost like the reverse of it's not the kid that's alienated from the parent, it's the parent that's alienated from the kid.
Right.
I think she blames me for quite a lot of things.
Okay.
And,
okay.
It's very difficult to bear up under.
Right, absolutely. Well, here's what I would do, Kevin, and that's why I became a life coach, and so I can tell you that I work with people all the time, families, dads, moms, grandparents. We work with everybody. Kevin, what I would do so that you can have some closure to this and you can have some healing is this is just a suggestion. I would write your mom a real heartfelt letter, nothing that's gonna hurt her or give her any type of heart problems or a stroke or anything like that, but write her a letter from your heart of your feelings so that you can have some closure and share with her that this is hurting you and you need to live your best life. And as your mother, she needs to be that supportive person to allow you to live your best life. We have enough baggage in this world. We don't need extra baggage from family members that are going to do anything to us, just because they have their own problems, they tend to project onto us, and so then we've got to carry it. That's not fair to do. And that's not right. And so if she blames you for things and you don't feel responsible for those things, which it doesn't sound like, it sounds like she's just, pushing those things on you or whomever, you need to take those off of yourself. Don't own things that aren't yours. We don't have to do that. Even if it's our parents or anybody else that tells us things. We, as grown adults, okay, we have to be able to function and function well in this world because the world is hard enough. And I would, if it were me, I'd write just a heartfelt letter and say, Mom, you've done this for many years. I don't feel responsible for any of this. I wish this would cease, and I wish you would realize that this has hurt me, and I'm closing the door on this one, and I forgive you for whatever reason you did this. I forgive you, but having a relationship is important as mother and son. If you choose out, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not choosing out. I would like a relationship if that's what you want, Kevin. But you see where I'm going with it? You want to try to get it. I think when we carry things inside of us, it just festers. It's not good. People say they can ignore it, but they really can't. It comes out in other ways. Jerry's got a few thoughts on this.
Well, real quickly, Kevin, and I agree, Debbie, some sort of reaching out, having a communication with her, Kevin, could be very, very helpful. What I would do is I would ask the Holy Spirit to put that together for you, whether it's the letter that Debbie suggested, or in my case, I was praying for years, actually, that God would give me an opportunity to have that heart-to-heart talk with my mother, and she was living with my sister at the time, and I happened to be visiting, and I just remember I was just praying, God, please, how do I open this door? And my mother came to me, and she requested that we sit down and talk, and she said she had some things she wanted to get off her chest and sort of resolve. So the Holy Spirit had been at work in her heart as well as mine, and so we had a very tearful couple-hour conversation, and after that our relationship was very, very different and very much better, even though she only lived a few more years. So some sort of reconciliation, whether like Debbie suggested through a letter, or just really pray and discern, ask the Holy Spirit what would be the best way for you to approach your mother, how she would be most receptive, because it sounds like you really want this to happen, and maybe deep down in her heart she does too, Kevin. So those are some other thoughts I wanted to share.
I hope so. She's got 2 grandkids that she basically ignores.
Yeah.
And I hesitate to talk to her about this or to confront it in any way, because she's a close-the-door kind of person, and I often worry it's the last time we'll talk. So I will take all you said into account. I'll especially pray. I want to leave on a good note.
Right.
An uplifting note, because Saturday Easter Vigil, my wife and I both were able to make our confirmation and our first communion.
Oh, beautiful.
As Roman Catholics.
Beautiful.
So,
praise God. Praise God. That is awesome. Well, then stay in that positive place, Kevin. Stay in that really good, wholesome place, and stay close to the Lord. People are going to do what they're going to do, even if that's parents and relatives. There's not much we can do to control other adults.
Amen.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kevin, and welcome home. Congratulations again. What a beautiful ceremony that was, I'm sure. And be assured of our prayers, Kevin. Absolutely. We'll be praying for you and your mom in this whole situation. Quick reminder again that tomorrow is the funeral for our beloved Pope Francis. Solemn funeral mass is at 3 a.m. This is Eastern time, because it's in Rome time. It's happening in Rome, of course. So it's 3 a.m. EWTN television and radio, and you'll have encores at 10 a.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Eastern time. So you get 3 opportunities to catch the funeral mass of Pope Francis tomorrow, 3 a.m., 10 a.m., and 6 p.m. Eastern times here on EWTN television and radio.
Well, a couple quick things I just wanted to share. Michael, I sent the website over to Michael, our producer, to post on Jerry and Debbie Facebook page. Also, Lady Undoer of Knots, the great novena to Our Lady, so she can untangle all these terrible webs that are happening. And then the other thing, too, is if this is happening to you and you're feeling really beaten down and you feel like you can't even go out there into the world because people are thinking somehow you're the bad parent, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Take care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit. Hold your head up high. Okay, the truth is the truth. The truth will set you free. And you go out there and you be the best you can possibly be. Linda's up next from Ohio on Annunciation Radio. Linda, welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hi, Linda.
I am a grandparent. I am a parent of an alienator. I don't want to take sides, but I want to be neutral, because divorce caused one parent to have the kids a few days and one parent to have the kids a few days, and neither one of them wants to let me have them anymore. Where I used to get them and have fun with them, and I mean, they are growing up, they are getting older. However, the longer this divorce went on, the more my child, the parent, alienated the children from the other parent. And I watched this, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what my role is as a grandparent because I am the parent of the alienator.
Well, okay, so I would definitely, if you can do it, is get some professional help with you and the your child who is the alienator to see if you can.
No, she's
no,
no.
Okay,
that
okay.
It's closed. She's has closed the door on that a long time ago.
So she won't get help.
That's a really good recommendation.
Right. Okay, that would be the first. So let's say that's not going to work. So what I would suggest is if you can talk to her, I mean, on some level, and just say, please, I'm asking you to really work hard to keep my relationship as a grandparent with the children. It is essential. It is absolutely essential for kids to have access to their grandparents. That's why there's a thing going around right now where there's grandparents' rights. They're going to courts trying to get their rights reinstated so that they can see their grandkids. That's happening all over the country. Nobody talks about it. See, this is why I'm saying the ripple effect of this is horrible. It's not just between the parents and the kids in a divorce. It affects the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, neighbors, friends, parishioners. It's terrible. So, Linda, I would definitely, if your daughter is the alienator, try gently, very gently, to sit with her and say, please, I'm asking you, protect my relationship with the grandchildren. Please, you've got to help me keep my relationship with my grandkids. I need them. I love them. I want them. I want to take care of them. I want to have them in my life. They need me in their lives. And see if you can slowly do that, very slowly and gently, to see if it kind of opens her heart a bit. That would be my best suggestion. What do you say, Jer?
No, I feel very sorry for you, Linda, especially because in this situation, it's your daughter, who is, kind of leading the way on this. So, but I'd be curious to know, Linda, what Debbie shared, I think, some very, very good, sound advice. I'm curious to know what you thought about that.
Goodness. Yes, she's an amazing mother, but this hatred that she has for their father should be kept in the husband-wife area, not in the mom and dad area.
I totally agree. Mm-hmm.
It's crossing the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and that's exactly why it happens, because one parent it wants to erase the other parent. And that's why there's a movie out there about parental alienation, a documentary called "You Cannot Be Erased" or something like that.
Oh my God!
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know what? I listen. I mean, I'm not a first-time listener. I'm not a first-time caller, but I never heard of Parent Alienation Day ever till now, and I just happened to be on the, April 25th.
Yeah, April 25th. And you want to hear something really ironic? That happens to be my former wedding anniversary.
Oh, my.
That's the reason why. Yeah, so you can't make this up. That's why I believe the good Lord wanted me to get this out there. When I found out it was on my former anniversary, I said, "Okay, Lord, you're trying to send me a signal to help people." And let me tell you, I have a lot of friends in the Catholic world who are counselors, and they don't even believe this even exists, or they believe it's a manipulation to try. And it's
so awful.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And seeing things through a jaded parent's eyes. The parent is jaded, and the more they repeat what they think is, the more it becomes truth. And I don't see it. I do not see what.
Well, yeah. Okay. So Linda, you're getting into a whole nother topic. That's exactly what I talked about, the brainwashing, because what happens is they keep drilling it in and saying it's truth, truth, truth. And all of a sudden everybody accepts it as truth. And it's not the truth. I had relatives tell me about a date that happened with me. The date never happened. That actual date that they were talking about never happened. I could prove it, but somebody kept saying it, and it became a truth. This is how absolutely diabolical it is, because when you're not living in the real truth, now you're living in this strange world, and things can happen, and the demons leverage that. They're opportunists. They take advantage of that. And so they work on people's, defects, their personality defects, and then here you go. You've got a mess in the family, and the demons love it. They want to see the family split apart. Linda, we could talk about this a long time. Maybe we should have done a part 2 and part 3. Thank you for weighing in on this. Jerry, I feel so bad. We've got almost full phone lines, and lots of people have things to say on social media as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to hear that closing music here in just a moment. In fact, there it is right there on cue, Michael, our producer. So Kelly in Elmhurst, Illinois, and Marie in Florida, and Anthony also in Florida, and other calls that Matt is screening right now. This is obviously a very
hot
widespread,
topic.
it's something we may not have to wait another year, Debbie, to do again.
How about unscripted? Unscripted?
Yeah, we have unscripted coming up next. What is it, Wednesday, I believe?
It's coming up at the end of the month. So maybe Linda and Anthony and Marie and Kelly can call back, and we'll continue on unscripted.
Yeah, amen. All right, well, it's been, as always, another impactful broadcast and conversation with you, the Take Two family. On Monday, we want to hear your best clean joke. We do that about once a quarter here, and it's a very lively and fun conversation, so give us your best clean joke on Monday. Thanks again to our show team, Matt, Michael, and Rich. For Debbie, I am Jerry, wishing you a beautiful and blessed weekend. It is Divine Mercy Sunday, so let us beseech the Lord and soak in His amazing divine mercy.
What's life coaching? Life coaching has been around for many years, helping people with their relationships, careers, health, and finances. With